Happy almost 2022, everyone.
Woo!
We are the Unqualified Filmbros with a podcast. We're here to do another event episode, our second of the month. We're going to be breaking down our favorite films of 2021. We've been looking forward to this one since we started this show back in October. This is hopefully going to be an annual tradition for us. We're trying it out year one. Obviously, 2021 was chock full of movie releases after the pandemic delayed a lot of the content from 2020. So a lot of movie theaters, a lot of streaming services became heavily saturated with new content this year. There was a lot to choose from, a lot that we all watched, a lot of overlap, and maybe some stuff that didn't overlap. So we're going to go through our top five. We're going to talk about a couple of movies that maybe we didn't get to but want to see, are going to prioritize in the new year. A couple of honorable mentions, and of course, the friends we make along the way.
Amen.
So we're going to get started here with the movies that we wish we had seen this year and are hopefully going to watch early on in 2022. So Benji, why don't you get us started?
I have two primarily. The first being The French Dispatch, which I have not seen because I'm not a huge Wes Anderson fan, but I still want to see it. And the big one that I wanted to see, but I haven't because it's only in theaters, is Licorice Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember you took Paul Thomas Anderson as your director and writer in the Build a Movie draft.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wary because of cases in the area, so I'm just waiting a little bit.
It's frustrating because it just came out, so it's
difficult
to catch, But that's certainly one that's on my.
I've heard very good things about it, so
it's getting great reviews.
For sure. Mm-hmm. John Peters is in it. Look him up if you're ever bored. Anyway, but the character, not the actual person there.
Max, over to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got three. Real quick. Encanto. I love Disney and Pixar, and everything that they can do that will end the year on a happy note is always great. And I'm assuming that's where it's gonna go. West Side Story I haven't seen, but I would like to. It's a Spielberg film. I think it would be great. Declan, I think, did the rapid review of it for us. Did a great job. I obviously haven't watched it, but I'm sure he did a great job. And then The French Dispatch as well. It just it looks like a fascinating film, and what a stunning cast too. Mm-hmm. So those are my three that I wish I had seen in 2021.
Yeah, some good films mentioned so far. I've seen a couple of what you guys have mentioned, and we'll talk about those later on. But what I wish I had seen this year, and what I hopefully am going to get to very soon in short order, I also have three. Judas and the Black Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, two of my favorite actors working right now. That story is prolific in American history, but the way it was portrayed in the film, I'm very excited to see how that shakes out. It's on HBO Max right now, so I have no excuse not to watch it. The other two are recent releases, so hopefully I'll get to see them over the next few weeks while they're still in theaters. One of them is West Side Story. I'm a big fan of the 1961 rendition. Obviously, the Broadway musical was the first show I ever saw on Broadway. So West Side Story, I'm excited to see Spielberg's take on it. Obviously, Declan did the rapid review, so I want to see how his analysis of it plays into my own perspective. And one that I think not a lot of people are talking about it this holiday season because it's sort of flown under the radar with all the big releases. SpiderMan No Way Home.
Wait, what movie, George?
You finished, Declan?
What?
Sing 2.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I liked the original. It was a lot of fun. Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon, Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton. The list goes on and on. It's a great cast.
McFarlane.
Yes, Seth
The
MacFarlane.
cast gets better in Sing 2.
Yeah,
so-
you're adding, Halsey and Bono and
Nick
again,
Kroll.
Nick
You
Kroll.
know
He's
what
he's
else
been in
had a
both.
great
He-
cast?
Yeah, he is in both, but
Uh,
it's Nick Kroll.
Yeah.
Bono.
So Judas and the Black Messiah, West Side Story, Sing 2. Declan, take us home with the ones we missed out on.
I also want to see Licorice Pizza. I'm like sort of a Paul Thomas Anderson fan in the sense that I've seen a number of his films, but I haven't rewatched any of them yet. So I know I would probably get more out of it once I rewatch them all. But he's a fantastic director, and I want to see his stuff. And the big one that I missed this year that I really want to see, and I will see at some point, but just never got around to, is The Green Knight. It's one that I hear a lot of great things about, and it's the one that slipped under my radar. I should have just like taken a car and gone to like some theater that it was playing if I just never got around to it. And that's something I regret, and I'll hopefully rectify that at some point.
Yeah. So those are the ones that we want to see. If you've seen them, let us know what you thought in the comments below. So now we're going to count down our 5. We're doing top 5s. Our 5 favorite films of 2021. We're each going to say our 5th, our 4th, our 3rd, our 2nd. We'll do some honorable mentions, and then we'll all name our favorite film of 2021. So we'll go in the same order we just did. Ben, your number 5 film of 2021.
My number 5 is gonna be Spider-Man: No Way Home. I thought it was a great Marvel movie. They did a lot of great stuff, and they followed the original villains pretty well. And I thought it was a very compelling movie. Yeah, and I don't think it can rate higher than that for me, just it being Marvel movie.
Max?
Yeah.
Oh, it's me. Okay, sorry. My number 5 is Don't Look Up. I love the science behind it. I thought it seemed pretty accurate from what I've read and obviously from what I already knew. But the performances I thought were fantastic, especially Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. Obviously, the two essentially leads, and they were standouts for me. But it was a really entertaining film, and honestly, just a brilliant satire of our political system as well, which, of course, as those of you that know me, is kind of my thing. So I fully enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it.
So my number 5 film of 2021 is Free Guy, directed by Sean Levy, starring Ryan Reynolds. There aren't a lot of leading men more charismatic in the industry today than Ryan Reynolds. He has so much fun in this film, just exploring the whole Truman Show element of his existence. The visuals are spectacular on the big screen. It doesn't fall into the, IP trap of Space Jam: A New Legacy, which was sort of like HBO Max the movie. But yeah, Free Guy, it's a ton of fun. I've only seen it the one time in the theater, and maybe my ranking will change with a small screen viewing. But right now, easy pick for my 5 over my honorable mentions. Free Guy.
And for my 5th one, this was slightly a surprise to me, but I decided my number 5 is actually The Mitchells versus the Machines. I really enjoyed this film a lot when I watched it on Netflix. It was a ton of fun, and also had real heart to it. It was the case where I wasn't thinking about it for my top 5 list, but once I looked over all the films I'd seen in 2021, I realized it's like I think it deserved to be there. It's like I saw many great films this year and all that, and but Mitchell's Machine versus the Machines is my number 5.
Benji, back up to you. Number 4.
Right. Number 4. I'm going to give it to Wrath of Man, which was,
What? Jason Statham?
yeah, I don't think it was really, watched by a ton of people, but it was a Guy Ritchie film with Jason Statham. And it plays very much, like a Jason Statham movie with a lot of action stuff, but it's really well made, and there are more compelling like themes. It's very biblical in nature. It's not just like random violence. It really explores like, a lot of human themes of like greed and obviously wrath. And I think it deserves a spot. I thought it was a very well done movie. And I'm also a big Jason Statham fan. I know you guys probably don't know that. Most of his films they're a certain type of film other than like Snatch and whatever he did with Guy Ritchie. But this one it's very good. And the performance by him is very good too. Highly recommend.
Great. I also like Jason Statham films. The Italian Job is a great film. I love it. Great heist film. So my number 4 is actually going to be one step up from Ben's number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. I love the fan service. I thought they did it in a way that was both poignant, but also kind of right up at the level where it could have easily slipped into all right, like let's calm down here with that. But I think they did it really, really well. And I love the story. So Spider-Man No Way Home takes the number 4 spot on my list.
Y'all are sleeping on Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll just say that before we do the rest of my rankings here. Number 4 for me, In the Heights. I was in the show in high school. I thought going into the movie, as long as they didn't take too many liberties with the storyline, as long as they didn't cut too many songs for the runtime, because it is a long show, it was going to be a slam dunk. And, Anthony Ramos as Usnavi, obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda was very involved in the adaptation of his musical. John Chu with the direction, the choreography is outstanding. The supporting cast really elevates the quality of the film. The performances feel genuine, and the added storyline beyond what's in the stage rendition. It's a good story as a musical, as something that you can see in live theater, but then when it's on the screen, these added elements take it to another level. And I found it to be a really enjoyable experience. It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours when you watch it. I'm really glad that it's back on HBO Max after the 1 month it was on over the summer. So yeah, like I said a minute ago, it was a slam dunk for me, as long as they did it right, and they did. So In the Heights, number 4.
For sure. My number 4, it has to go with, and I appreciate George for reminding me, it came out this year, America the Motion Picture.
Wow.
I can say without hesitation that if this film had come out when I was in the 5th grade or something like that, this would be my favorite film of all time. Like no doubt about it. This could very well change when I think about it and have more perspective. But I figured this film deserves a shout out. It's fantastic in every way, ridiculous, but also fun. Like I said, this was everything I could have wanted from a film when I was in the 5th grade, and so for that alone, it deserves at least a spot here. Again, maybe in the future I'll change my ranking, but for now I'll go with America the Motion Picture as number 4.
Declan and I are the because I don't know if the other two of you have seen the movie, but we're the chair people of the committee to get an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature for America the Motion Picture.
Oh yeah.
It's so much fun. I'm glad you included that, Declan.
Is it streaming or is it?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Netflix movie.
I guess I can watch it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Do not expect it to be like a real history.
No, yeah.
I expected to be historically accurate coming from Declan.
I don't like American motion picture.
Say that again after you've seen it.
Fair.
Oh, it's me again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Third movie. Oh, it's got to be Dune.
Oh, not your
Only
number one.
third.
Only third. Only third. I love Dune. I love Dune. I think it's slightly lower because it is two parts, and for Dune, the biggest meat comes in the second part. The first part was mainly exposition, and I loved seeing on the screen. I thought it was fantastic. I think the soundtrack was phenomenal. It was unique, and it felt alien. Just everything that Villeneuve did was incredible, and I can't wait for part two.
Gonna be a long 2 years.
Yeah, it will. But I can rewatch that movie many times. It's just that good.
Is another one that doesn't feel 2.5 hours.
No, you really get absorbed in the story and in the universe. Far superior, much better than David Lynch did. Suffice it to say.
All right. So my number 3 is actually Tick Tick Boom. I some of you know I'm kind of a sucker for musicals, but I think it was just a really beautiful portrait of someone who loves Broadway. And I, of course, love Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I don't think anybody else could have done that movie, because I don't think anybody out there right now loves Broadway, loves musicals as much as Lin-Manuel Miranda. And Andrew Garfield's performance in that film was pretty spectacular. He absolutely deserves every award nomination that's coming his way and every accolade and recognition that he should receive, because he is fantastic and not a bad voice either, and that of course is important in this film. So that's my number 3.
I'll just say that the film is shockingly well directed for a first-time director. Obviously, Miranda is a very creative guy, but still, jump into it so well.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is going to be Don't Look Up. I think it is a strong commentary, obviously, on the issue for which it is a metaphor, the climate crisis. It doesn't get too preachy outside of one monologue from Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Adam McKay is my favorite director, one of my favorite directors working in the industry right now. So this one was going to be a win from the jump. Obviously, as you guys have said, the cast is phenomenal. Leo, J-Law, Meryl, Jonah, the list goes on and on. We've said that about a lot of these movies tonight. So yeah, Don't Look Up, edited really well. I love the story. The score is subtle, but it plays really well for the sort of disaster comedy it's going for.
And so for my number 3, I'm overlapping a bit with George, and I'm putting In the Heights. Again, shockingly good musical. I had not seen In the Heights at all before, so this was my first exposure to the story. And it was great exposure. It was fascinating to go back to the original Broadway show and suddenly see the differences that were on stage. But I feel the cast many star-making performances, just fantastic all around, musical and adaptation. In the Heights is my number 3.
Number 2. This one is going to be the only good Ridley Scott film released this year, The Last Duel. It is a really, really well-made film, with incredible performances. Adam Driver is fantastic. I think he's probably the best actor in the movie, but both Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are very good too. I enjoyed the technique that he used, telling the story from different perspectives. But the biggest reason why I thought it was a genius film is it took the chivalrous knight that is being used to, shown on the screen as like the one that everyone should aspire to be, and showing how selfish and terrible of a person he actually is. It really tore down the romanticization of a knight. And I thought it was phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen a film really do that quite to that extent.
That's great. My number two is another film that has Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog. It's currently streaming on Netflix, and I think number one, he delivers a pretty spectacular performance, but it also is, and probably one of the most consequential times in our history. It provides a really beautiful meditation on masculinity, and it's framed against the backdrop of like cowboys and sort of this highly masculine and macho environment, which is really fascinating to see how that evolves and changes throughout the entire film. It's not very long. I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes. It might be longer. Honestly, I don't know. But it's a fantastic film. Jane Campion did a really great job with the directing, and it's also just beautiful. The filming is fantastic. So that's my number two.
I gotta watch that. Wow.
Yeah, that one has slipped my viewings so far, but from the way you talk about it, I'm excited to watch it.
Very kind.
Number two here, I'm going to go with an indie comedy that I watched on Hulu on a whim earlier this month, actually. Declan knows what I'm talking about. Ride the Eagle. It's directed by Trent O'Donnell, starring Jake Johnson, written by Trent O'Donnell and Jake Johnson. It's rare in my viewings to find something that is written by someone to direct their own project and also written by someone who will then act as the lead actor. I think that adds to the quality of the film, that Jake Johnson and Trent O'Donnell knew what they wanted from their direction and their lead actor performance when they wrote the film, so they could execute their vision as best as they possibly could. Obviously, the visuals, the scope of Yosemite is just breathtaking. The establishing shots, even some of the closer shots in the forests and in the park. It's just a gorgeous film. The subject matter is unique. It feels really fresh, and it doesn't overplay its welcome by, trying to stretch out to 2:15. It's $1.30 on Hulu, so it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the film. Ride the Eagle. Go see it if you haven't. It's on Hulu. Easy choice for number two.
And J.K. Simmons is there because this is a movie released in 2021, so therefore he has to be there.
Love J.K. Simmons.
It's fantastic. I love him too. I just had to make that observation. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, on to my number two. I've never been more happy to be more wrong about a film before. As I said in my rapid review, it's West Side Story. Who could have guessed I would like the film by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner? Who could have guessed? No, and all that. It's again a fantastic performances all around, masterful dance scenes and great acting. It's taking the original source material and doing a new thing with it. It's not like it's another way to tell this story. Like in the same way that every production, in some ways, can often change a musical in a little bit. West Side Story makes many changes that are worth talking about and really cool. I'm gushing. Fantastic film all around. All of you should go see it. It's great. It's great.
And watch Declan's rapid review. He's very proud of it.
Thank you. Yes.
Honorable mentions. I have, I think, two that I want to put. One is Judas and the Black Messiah. And then two is The Father. Both phenomenal films.
Who was in The Father?
Father's, huh?
Who's in The Father? Sorry.
Anthony Hopkins.
Olivia Colman.
Best actor for that.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't think anyone expected, including him, to win it, but he was phenomenal in it.
that was a weird one because it came out this year, but it was for last awards season.
yeah. It just hit the mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really, really good. And the whole movie itself is really good. It's horribly depressing, but it is very well done.
My three, in no particular order. Finch with Tom Hanks. It's on Apple TV. It's a great story. It's kind of like a buddy film, but it's very heartfelt. Two is Belfast with Jamie Dornan, who is, of course, of 50 Shades fame and fortune. He's actually fantastic in this film, and it's a great directorial project from Kenneth Branagh. And then number three for me is Dune. I loved the story. I hadn't come into the film knowing anything about Dune or the world that it was created within the novels, but I left leaving the theater wanting to see part two immediately, and I think that's the mark of a great film. So that's my number three.
Yeah, I'm gonna list off three of my honorable mentions. There's a clear number six, I guess you'd call it, and that's Luca, the animated sea monster movie on the Italian Riviera on Disney Plus. It's cute. It's a lot of fun. A lot of heart to the story. Great vocal performances by the kids, and also by my dearly beloved Maya Rudolph and Jim Gaffigan. They play a married couple, and it's a lot of fun. They have great chemistry.
The only reason I don't count it as a film I saw is because I didn't catch the beginning of the film. It's another. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's a fantastic film.
My other two honorable mentions, I have in my Letterboxd film library list, you will see that I have a pod of 2021 movies, 4 or 5 of them in a span of about 9 that I've seen all time, ranked all close together. So just a couple of them. The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson, is so unique in his directing style. His movies always, well, not always, but his movies generally are enjoyable to watch. They always have a really unique story. This one was told in that sort of same 3-act structure as The Last Duel, obviously different subject matter in each story. But it's a really fun film, and I really enjoyed it. And then my other honorable mention is The Last Duel. Ridley Scott did a great job with it. Obviously, the landscapes, the subject matter, the lead actor performances, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Jodie Comer. Everyone did such a great job with that film. I'm surprised it's not in my top 6 for the year. But I loved it. Great film.
And you said all yours, George?
Yeah, those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Very good, very good. Okay, so I will do my honorable mentions, and I'll also admit to a very quick last-minute addition since other people are doing three and all that. But still, my first honorable mention goes to Tick, Tick, Boom. This one it suffers from recency bias in the fact that I literally just watched it like 4 hours ago. It's a fantastic film, but I also I haven't sort of let it sit so it's like difficult to fully place it for me. Plus, my list is already overrepresented with musicals where Latinos in New York are prime creative forces behind them. So I figured I'll just leave it as an honorable mention because, as Max said, it's fantastic in all around in so many ways. My other honorable mention I'll give to Free Guy. I felt like that one was an excellent use of a really good concept that I feel like everyone sort of thought about, but you could imagine a very mediocre film being made out of. I was like, oh, what if a Grand Theft Auto civilian became sentient? But like, Free Guy took that idea and built it to make what I felt was a compelling story that utilized its concept and its like interesting questions about AI to the best that it could. I think Free Guy was a very enjoyable time, and it was also an original film that released this year that was a major hit. That's pretty cool, as well. And my number one honorable mention, and this is an obscure one. I doubt anybody you would have thought of it.
Oh no.
Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
Loved it.
It was a great film. I would generally consider it to be my one sentence review would be better John Wick. I felt like I really enjoyed it. However, what solidifies its stance as an honorable mention is one, the scene using Impossible Dream set to an action scene that was just cinema, and all that. But the other one is that Nobody was the first film that I returned to cinemas to go see, and so it will forever have that honor, and it will be one that I will always have. It will always have a special place in my heart for that, and so that's my other big honorable mention.
All right.
Lovely.
It's time for our favorite films of 2021. The moment we've been waiting for since we started this episode and since we started planning it. Ben, why don't you start us off?
Well, this film has been mentioned before, and it truly does deserve both my favorite movie and best movie of 2021, which is The Power of the Dog. I think it is such a fantastically made movie, and like Max said, there's a lot of dimensions to these characters. And there's almost like a poetic, sense to it, the way that everything happens. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but Phil's character, Benedict Cumberbatch's character Phil, is extremely poetic. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch puts on his best performance I've seen him do, and it's a fantastic performance. I think easy nomination for best actor, and right now my choice probably.
I think I also agree that Power of the Dog was the best film of the year, but I'm gonna go a different way with my favorite film, of course. And I'm gonna go with Coda. It's on Apple TV again, just like Finch is, and it's a fantastic film about a young girl who is hearing and her family is deaf, and how she navigates those waters. Quite literally, her family are fishermen. And
Nice.
Finding her own finding her own way within the world. But it also has a musical element. She's a singer, and following that dream and trying to find her own way within that passion is just beautiful. It's heartfelt. It's a great story. I think it's something that if you're ever feeling like you need a little bit of a pick-me-up, will certainly do the job. It's on Apple TV right now, and I just loved it. It's beautiful.
Coda is a fantastic film.
Yeah. Thanks, Declan.
Well, I am also going to talk about a potential Oscar nominee for Best Picture here with my number one choice. God, I really hope it's nominated for Best Picture. Spider-Man No Way Home. Just everything Max and Ben said about it earlier. It's great for the fan service. It's a return to form. Not really a return to form, because Marvel's Phase 4 has been really strong so far. but it's a return to form for a Spider-Man movie. It really felt like a Spider-Man movie in ways that Far From Home and Homecoming did not. Tom Holland gives the performance of his career with the emotion that he shows, the range of humor and heart and rage. He shows so much of his range as an actor. Obviously, the inclusion of past Spider-Man characters added to the fan favorite factor. Did a lot of fan service for me, for other Spider-Man fans, other superhero fans, for the four of us. Just from a film technical standpoint, the story is really fresh, really strong. The direction by John Watts is outstanding. The score is terrific, Michael Giacchino. But Spider-Man No Way Home, I don't think it'll get award season buzz, maybe with best original score or visual effects. But I'm a movie nerd. I'm a Marvel nerd. Spider-Man No Way Home is my favorite movie of the year. And now I feel like a loser.
Very good.
No.
Not.
I'm seeing it again next week.
I wish I could say I was a little bit surprised, George, but I can't at all at this place. No, I'm kidding.
It was the first time I ever gave a film an immediate 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Wow, nice. For my pick, technically, well, mine has a similar thing to what you just said. My number one pick. I don't think this is a huge shock to any of you, and I should have had a Blu-ray next to me as a prop to use, but I didn't bother bringing it over here. It's The Last Duel, directed by Ridley Scott. Like my phone died the other day, so I had to go see it in theater. No, I'm not making that joke. Sorry, no, The Last Duel. The Last Duel is such a great film because of everything in it being so great. That's the most roundabout way to say that. No, it obviously appeals to all of the things I like, medieval history and all that, but like it was also so well acted and so well told as a story. Jodie Comer's performance, I
forgot to mention her, and I feel bad. She's the best actor.
I'm slightly glad you did it so that I could talk about how like Jodie Comer's performance, which was in some ways like kind of like almost not saved the movie for me, but like made me make Jodie Comer's performance is the reason why this is my number one film of the year rather than my number five. Like she did such a good job both navigating the situation she's in and conveying so much stuff. I feel like I've been getting better in that I've only cried for 20 minutes a day thinking about its box office returns, but in general, like art matters, even if it doesn't make as much of a profit. Please, everyone, go buy Last Duel. Feel a little bit better about millennials. Yes, Last Duel is my number one film of 2021.
That was iconic from Declan, I just have to say.
Thank you.
Declan in his element.
Some days you just got to talk about how great The Last Duel.
I mean, what else could it be? I mean, realistically, we all knew it was coming. Just like we all knew Spider-Man was going to be George's. I bet none of you thought that The Power of the Dog was going to be mine.
I did not. I have not. This is completely.
Yeah, we have two predictable. We have two predictable ones with George and Declan, and I think me and Ben might have surprised both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was taken aback, but I was certainly a little surprised by your choices. I think they fit the vibe of what I know about the two of you as film nerds, as cinema bros.
Unqualified film bros.
None of us are qualified to talk about these movies.
That's true. Yeah. I will.
It's also, in case you haven't noticed, that's the title of our podcast. The title of our podcast is
It is?
Unqualified Filmbros.
Wow,
Um,
referencing the name of the
it-
show.
It's on YouTube. You should probably check it out sometime.
What's the channel? No, I'm kidding. It's like
Down
I'll-
below.
That's
Subscribe
like
down
my
below.
favorite part about The Power of the Dog is when they reference the film name in the film.
Yes.
That's like in Spider-Man No Way Home when Doctor Strange said, Spider-Man, there's no way home for these villains.
No, no.
my favorite part of Coda was when they signed in Coda. Coda, no.
Um,
Coda, that almost made my honorable mentions list, and it probably should have. But it's like there were other movies I want to talk about. I'm really glad someone.
No, I mean, there's tons of honorable mentions that I missed
Yeah.
out on, and there's
Yeah.
probably some films that I've seen in the past. I try to stick with films that that had come out in 2021.
Oh no, of
on
course,
my
of course.
list.
That's
And
Yeah,
you know, there's so many films out there that I've seen that I loved and had a great time with that I obviously I just wasn't able to talk about.
I
It's
try
a
to
great
keep
year
that,
for films, to be
you know,
quite honest.
minimalist.
Yeah.
not as good for a film box office, but feel good for film.
No.
Yeah.
As
No.
in Last Duel.
Did House of Gucci
Also
do
was-
well?
What is it?
Did House of Gucci do well for box office?
No,
I don't think it did. I mean,
it broke even, I'm pretty sure.
I think it at least
Okay.
broke, but I liked it. I saw it in theaters. It was great.
I didn't
Yeah.
hate it, but I expect more from Ridley Scott.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
I
after the
feel
last duel, we all should.
Yeah, I mean that was like House of Gucci, and Last Duel is just like such a better made, better acted, better everything film.
it's honestly just weird that, as I said in my rapid review, that there are two Ridley Scott directed European set historical dramas starring Adam Driver that came out in.
I know, right?
What?
He
So
was contracted for like 3 years or whatever, and it's just like, wait, why don't we use him twice? Can we do that?
Exactly. It's like
we've got a lot of sorry guys, but we've got a lot of movies that we have talked about that we will talk about from 2021. Obviously a great year for cinema with the diversity of content pushed into this year, but also planned for this year. But it's a great year for cinema. Obviously 2022 is going to be very similar, with more content that was pushed back, more content that was planned. That's that's going to do it for this episode of Unqualified Film Bros. We hope you like our top fives for the year, our honorable mentions. Let us know what you thought of the films that we talked about, the movies that maybe we didn't get to, maybe movies we didn't even mention on this episode. We will be back in the new year. We've got some reviews coming up that we think you're really going to enjoy. A few more special event episodes coming down the pike. So definitely like and subscribe, as the YouTube cliche goes.
And hit the
And,
notification bell.
Yeah, ring that bell.
Yeah.
Hashtag Philadelphia. We'll see you in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.